Do you think all great inventions came from brilliant minds, full of planning and fancy charts? Well, you are very wrong. In fact, some of the inventions that changed the world came from accidents, monumental distractions, or pure luck. Yes, that's right. Sometimes being lazy, disorganized, or just putting chocolate in the wrong pocket is enough to create something millions of people will use without even realizing it. Just imagine wartime radars that became microwaves, mold forgotten on lab plates that turned into a miracle drug, and failed stickers that stuck to the world. Humanity is an expert at turning blunders into global successes. And today, we're going to explore some of these gems. If you enjoy laughing at our own stupidity while learning something, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and hang on tight because what's coming next is so bizarre, you'll want to watch until the very end.
The microwave, from radar to hot food. Have you ever wondered how we went from hunting mammoths to popping popcorn in the microwave in seconds? Well, get ready for the story of how a simple accident created one of humanity's most essential and laziest appliances. It all starts with Percy Spencer, an engineer working with radar during World War II. While testing a new piece of equipment, he noticed something very strange. The chocolate in his pocket started to melt. Yes, melted chocolate in his pocket. Picture the scene. You're measuring high-tech radiation, and suddenly your snack turns into a sticky puddle of cocoa. Instead of panicking or calling his supervisor, Percy had the brilliant idea to test other foods near the radar. Popcorn, eggs, butter, everything cooked or melted instantly. And just like that, with no grand plan at all, the microwave was born. The funniest part is realizing that this revolutionary invention came from pure distraction and luck. While scientists were busy trying to save the world with radar, someone thought, hey, what if we put food here? And the rest, well, the rest became an appliance millions of people use today to heat up leftovers or make popcorn, never imagining it all started with a total mistake. And the irony? An invention that made our lives so much easier also turned us into professional lazy people incapable of heating a simple soup on the stove. Who would have thought that to survive the dangers of our own laziness, humanity would need an accidental gadget?
Penicillin, when mold became a hero. If you think being disorganized is always bad, get ready to change your mind. In 1928, Alexander Fleming would probably fail any 21st century organization test. He left some bacterial culture plates lying around in the lab, and, surprise, a strange mold started growing on them. But what any normal person would see as dirt or a problem, Fleming saw as an opportunity. That mold was killing the bacteria around it. Yes, you read that right. Forgotten mold saved millions of lives. Humanity was one step away from continuing to suffer from infections that we now treat with a simple pill, all because someone let laziness or distraction take over the lab for a day. Fleming looked at it and thought, maybe this is useful. And indeed it was. The irony is delicious. One of the greatest medical revolutions of the 20th century was born from a simple oversight. A casual, I forgot this here, changed the course of history forever. And the best part? You can laugh at the situation while thinking about how many similar accidents might be waiting to happen today, maybe in your own kitchen or office. So next time someone complains about a messy lab, remember, sometimes chaos is exactly what the world needed. And Fleming, unknowingly, ended up creating the first effective antibiotic, becoming a hero of chance.
The Post-it, the sticker no one planned. Have you ever stopped to think that that little piece of paper stuck to your computer screen, full of useless notes, was born from a huge blunder? That's right, the Post-it
wasn't planned to be the global success it is today. The story begins with Spencer Silver, a chemist at 3M, trying to create a super strong adhesive. But instead, he ended up inventing a glue that barely stuck. Literally, a sticky note that no one could get to stick properly to anything. Now, if you think Silver gave up, you're wrong. He realized that this failure could be useful for marking book pages, leaving temporary notes, and basically annoying anyone who tried to use a glue that didn't really work. From there, someone finally had the brilliant idea, what if we sell this to the whole world? And sell it they did. Even today, millions of people rely on this little piece of paper that technically is the result of a monumental mistake. The funniest part is imagining the thought process. This useless glue, maybe someone wants to use it to remember to drink coffee or pay bills. And the most incredible part? It worked. The Post-it became a symbol of smart accidents, reminding us that sometimes the biggest successes come from ideas that initially seemed useless or ridiculous. And the ultimate irony, a product created by mistake now dominates office desks, computers, and refrigerators, while the real inventors of strong glue probably feel a little betrayed. Who would have thought that laziness in creating something perfect would spawn an empire of colorful little notes?
Chewing gum, an experiment that stuck. Have you ever thought that chewing gum you chew endlessly, sticking to your hair or the sole of your shoe, was born from a big scientific mix-up? That's right. Chewing gum, like other world-changing inventions, almost happened by accident. It all started with Thomas Adams, who wanted to create a substitute for vulcanized rubber using sapodilla tree resin. But instead of producing useful rubber, he ended up with an elastic, chewable mass, something no one had any idea how to use. The clever part, of course, was realizing that this chewable makeshift could entertain people. Adams began selling the product as a chewable treat, and surprise, humanity loved it. Suddenly, what seemed like a total failure became a global success. Chewing gum captured the hearts of children, adults, and even people who swear it relieves stress while it sticks to a coworker's shoe. The funniest part is that the very invention born from a mistake and curiosity ended up shaping consumer habits that persist today. We chew without thinking, toss it on the ground guilt-free, and celebrate it as if we discovered a treasure. Who would have thought humanity would need something so simple and initially absurdly useless to entertain itself and simultaneously create a multi-million-dollar industry? Thomas Adams aimed to solve a serious problem and ended up creating a bizarre pleasure that literally sticks to everything today. Sound familiar? Welcome to the world of accidental inventions that stick in history.
The electric oven, an invention born from a short circuit. Have you ever thought that some of humanity's greatest advances came from an electric shock? That's right. The electric oven was born from an accident that could have ended in a fire or a household horror story. In the early days of electricity, engineers were testing ways to use electric current to cook food more efficiently. But since the technology was still new, experiments didn't always go as planned. In one particular test, an unexpected short circuit ended up heating the food evenly and, as a bonus, revealed the potential of a device we now call the electric oven. Imagine the scene. Everyone worried about the risk of an explosion, and someone just thinks, well, the food is hot, so it must work, right? And it did. Miraculously, humanity gained an appliance that would make cooking faster, easier, and of course, a perfect excuse for modern culinary laziness. The funniest part is realizing how a technical failure transformed our kitchens. No brilliant planning, no sophisticated testing, just bad luck, experimentation, and a bit of absurd luck.
The electric oven saved us from many kitchen dramas, but it also turned us into electricity-dependent humans, incapable of baking bread without alarms, timers, and smartphone apps. And the irony? An electrical accident created one of the most reliable and widely used appliances in the world. So next time you turn on your electric oven, remember, it wasn't born from genius, but from chaos, a short circuit, and a touch of absurd luck.
Sliced bread, the accident that changed breakfast. Have you ever imagined that those perfectly square, uniform slices of bread you pop into the toaster every morning were born from a completely failed attempt? That's right, the industrial sliced bread wasn't planned to dominate our kitchens and our lives. The initial idea was simply to make bread production easier for large factories and bakeries. But what emerged ended up being much more than that, a standardization that changed breakfast worldwide. At first, no one imagined that uniformity would be so valued. Uneven slices, irregular crusts, that's what you saw in artisan bakeries. But with industrialization, engineers created machines to cut bread almost as if it were on a car assembly line. And without realizing it, they transformed a simple meal into a cultural icon. Suddenly, everyone wanted equal slices, even if it meant giving up a bit of authenticity. The funniest part is thinking that an industrial engineering accident became a global standard. Today you can find square bread anywhere in the world and no one questions it. Humanity simply accepted and embraced what started as a productive workaround. And the irony? A design error and an attempt at efficiency turned something mundane into an absolute necessity. Thanks to this accident, we now have standardized breakfasts, perfect sandwiches, and a daily excuse to complain about any other food that isn't as meat as industrial bread.
From heart to bedroom. Get ready for a story that proves science has a very peculiar sense of humor. Viagra, yes, that pill millions of people know for very specific effects, actually started as a completely different attempt, treating heart problems. Researchers were focused on dilating blood vessels to help patients with angina, and the goal was never to create a product for, well, you know, improving people's sex lives. What happened, of course, is that during clinical trials, volunteers began reporting side effects. Let's say, unexpected ones. Instead of just helping the heart, the medication seemed to have other benefits no one had predicted. Rather than discarding the drug as a failure, the industry saw a market potential, turning a side effect into a blockbuster pharmaceutical. The funniest part is imagining the researchers in meetings. Our patients' hearts aren't really improving, but they seem a lot happier after the doses. Is this science or comedy? And just like that, a medical accident became a global phenomenon, changing bedrooms and lives in completely unexpected ways. And the ultimate irony, the intention was to save lives through the heart, and we ended up saving, well, let's just say, other kinds of hearts. Who would have thought that science, with a touch of accident and a lot of observation, could create one of the most famous and controversial inventions of the modern world? Teflon, when the kitchen almost became a chemical lab. Have you ever thought that the non-stick pan you use every day could have almost ruined your kitchen or your health if circumstances had been a little different? That's right. Teflon, famous for keeping food from sticking, was born from a chemical accident during research to create a new type of refrigerant. Roy Plunkett, the chemist responsible, was handling highly reactive gases when he suddenly noticed that a slippery, incredibly non-stick solid had formed. Instead of throwing it away, he decided to investigate. The result?
a substance that would transform the way we cook and clean kitchenware, and, of course, generate a fortune for anyone who saw its commercial potential. The funniest part is imagining Plunkett's reaction. Okay, I was trying to save the world with refrigerants, and I ended up creating something that stops eggs from sticking to a pan. Science is really unpredictable. Today, millions of people cook effortlessly, but almost no one remembers that this invention came from a mistake, chemical risk, and an unbelievable touch of luck. And the irony? Something that could have been a chemical disaster became one of the most useful and common inventions in the modern kitchen. It's as if nature and science were saying, if you're a little careless, you can still save the day. Or at least your breakfast. If these crazy inventions happen by accident, just imagine how many more are still hidden, waiting for someone distracted or unlucky to reveal their absurd potential.
So, to recap, we have microwaves born from melted chocolate, penicillin that came from forgotten mold, Post-its that stuck by accident, chewing gum that sticks to everything, electric ovens born from short circuits, perfectly square sliced bread that changed breakfast, Viagra that transformed the sex lives of millions, and Teflon that almost turned the kitchen into a chemical lab. The moral of the story? Not all progress comes from brilliant plans or genius minds. Sometimes you just have to be distracted, unlucky, or lazy to create something that literally changes the world. It's as if humanity has a natural talent for turning mistakes into success. And you, clever viewer, are here to laugh and learn from every single one. So, if you've survived this video without losing your mind, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and comment on which accidental invention you wish you had created. Or, even better, which blunder you think could change the world. And remember, the next time you make a colossal mistake, don't feel bad. It might just be the next microwave, penicillin, or even Teflon in your life. Who would have thought that humanity's greatest genius often comes from chaos and accident?